Welcome back to another review slash or whatever, just yapping about the episode of the Mighty Nein, episode 5, season 1, The Little Spark. This was absolutely a Caleb taking the cake episode, you know. Does that make any sense? I don't care if it does. Let's hop into the video, guys. Without further ado, remember to be your authentic self. Remember to spread kindness, be kind, whatever, you know, just be you. Let's hop in. I think I'm just going to shorten my intro down and just be your most authentic self, or just be your authentic self. What am I even talking about? Anyways, yo, this episode was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the animators are doing an amazing job of portraying emotion in these characters, dude. This is so peak. I cannot stop saying this is so peak. It's great. I'm glad that the Mighty Nein is getting the success it is, and any new people coming into the series where they're getting introduced to Critical Role or the Mighty Nein through the animation. That's really dope too. But man, it is so cool to see the campaign come to life years later. And I think I'll literally say this for the rest of the episodes for season 1, but it's just really, really cool. It's a really cool thing to just be here during this time seeing this, man. I knew it would happen. I knew Vox Machina was already coming, because I think by the time I started watching, by the time I was watching the Mighty Nein or finishing up campaign 2, like Vox Machina was a few months away. I can't remember. I don't know. Don't quote me on my own journey, but but I think that was the case. I think by the time I came into Critical Role and all this cool shit, it was literally just a few months out for, you know, Vox Machina releasing like the first season. But anyways, long story short, let's get into some of these moments that were absolutely just so dope. So cool. What I want to say before I even start clicking through the scenes is every single voice actor, every single animator, every single person involved in sound design, you guys, shout out to you guys. You guys are doing absolutely amazing. Every writer, Travis and Sam, man, everyone is just doing phenomenal work. It is really awesome to see. I think one of the coolest things to see with the Mighty Nein as opposed to Vox Machina is just the casting of the magic and the hand signs and the spell components is such a cool thing that I don't think, now I definitely know, because man, I've watched a lot of anime, but just the way it's presented in, because the Mighty Nein's not an anime, but it's an animation, right? Or Western style anime. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know the politics of what type of animation this is, but nonetheless, at least I don't think I've seen a power system shown like this, at least, because it's you know, I don't know, it's just cool. Like, you know, you've I think I can reference shows where it's been like this, but there's something that feels so unique about, you know, watching them actually have to pull out like a little sack of maggots, or like, you know, I don't know, some sort of creature in this realm, and Caleb using like a little magma beetle things. You know, it's cool. I know I'm making such, you guys get what I'm talking about. And I think it's cool. I think that's so sick, dude. I think the whole thing is sick. And even hearing them chant under their breath, I can't think of an anime or an animation off of the top of my head where you know, you see what physically is put into the casting to have this insane effect, or the, you know, the magical casting system of casting something but taking from some other place, like kind of like how they displayed in did they do it in was it in The Witcher where they did that for, like, when it went to the whole witches school or magic school, where they had to take, like, they had to touch like something that was living, and then to cast it drained the object they were, whatever, you know, like Full Metal Alchemist type of transmutation or alchemization. Anyways, I'm rambling, but let's get on to the scenes. I mean, this is just so crazy. I don't know. It was cool to see Caleb's backstory come to life. And I mean, I could say 100 things about everything, but it was just cool to see how you know, he came into meeting Astrid and the Aid Wolf, and just this, I don't know, I love it. This part where they fought, what's her name? What was her name again? It was O something, I think, right? Owilia or I can't. Yeah, Owilia. There it is. Okay, Owilia. Okay, I'm glad it popped up in the X-ray. I love that. But just like even the scene, I love how they handle the fight choreography and the animation, because it just feels so raw. Like these are some badass, you know. I would say, of course, the Mighty Nine, they're like some criminals and band of misfits, but like they come into being a hero, at least from someone who's watched the campaign, right? And it's just cool to see, like, these are some badasses, right? But it's just cool to see how the world feels balanced. I think I said that in another video that, I said that during a campaign 4 video where they were someone in the comments was not happy with me saying it. I don't know if they were happy or not happy, but saying that yeah, the world is definitely not balanced. But no, what I meant is like my viewpoint was coming from what I've seen in past campaigns with Matt, but there have been some scenarios where, I don't know, this is so off topic, but it just had to do with how Brennan is DMing campaign 4. It's cool to see that there's like actually a threat to them losing their characters, but he's not going to intentionally he's not going to intentionally cause a TPK. Anyways, in the animation, it shows that, like, you know, they are still badass, but it, like, you know, there's some people in this world that they just definitely can't mess with, and the Volstrucker was one of them. But I also like how it felt balanced at the same time. I mean, they had to jump her, but still, at the end of the day, it felt cool. It felt like, you know, Ford isn't going to sit there and talk like an anime and be like, okay, guys, listen, we need a plan, and it's all going to cut to everyone's inner monologue. It's like, no, business is getting started right now. It's popping off right now, and Ford gets hit in the chest or like the lower abdomen. I'm like, damn, I was so stuck when that happened. But again, it's just like the pacing and everything has just been being done so well. I'm so amazed at it, dude. It's really awesome to witness. But these little poison shadow clones from Owilia was cool. It was just like her whole insect-based magic was really cool. It kind of showed like how it's kind of funny that hers is insect-based, because it's kind of like she kind of kept popping up like roaches. She kept popping up like a roach in both Beauregard and Caleb's reality. But yeah, man, it's just this nasty, her little infection based magic. But she was a really cool Volstrucker, and you really felt the insanity of this motherfucker. She was ready to bang, and I respected it. I love how the voice actor handled her. I love how the animators handled like her expressions on her face. Like, this motherfucker was crazy. Like, Caleb was even like, yo, we gotta dip. But I'm still glad they didn't back down. They got to fighting. And of course, you know, I was sad my boy Ford was taken out so soon during this fight. Another thing that I really liked, that, you know, my girlfriend also really liked, is how they bounced back and forth from like Caleb's flashbacks with who Owilia was, and also just his past in general of being a Volstrucker, because this whole episode was basically based around, like, you know, he was one of them pretty much. But I like how they bounced back and forth and show like the tension between him and Owilia too, and a lot of their clashes, that she was always like under him in the idea, like she was always like going to be the runner-up Volstrucker, you can kind of tell. But it was cool. It was cool how they displayed that. I'm not gonna lie, as I went back to the scene, I forgot that Ford tried to drop the rocks on her, Ford tried to drop the rocks on her head. What is happening with my brain lately? And yeah, he definitely warranted catching 2 needle spikes to the stomach. Anyways, I'm not gonna probably change the scenes too much from here, because I'm gonna have to watch the ads and everything. But the interrogation scene was pretty cool. I really like how they displayed the relationship between Caleb and Beauregard. Kind of this whole idea of like, you know, we're still a group coming together, learning to trust each other. But, you know, she really wanted that information. She's like, what is she saying in Zemnian? Until it got down to the point where she was like, she said Volstrucker, and she said, now that's a word I'm familiar with. And I really like how the animators, I mean, I would play it right here, but I don't want to skip the ad and ruin my flow, is I really like how the animators depicted Beauregard getting in Caleb's face. That was so cool. Like the tension, just the style, and Caleb really being like, no, like, listen to me. She's really trying to make us, you know, take our eyes off of her, blah blah blah. I just really like it, because I think during the campaign, if I can remember, I could be wrong, you guys can correct me down below, this is kind of how Beauregard was a little bit from what I remember when it came to investigating and things. And I can't remember, I could be wrong, but even if, regardless, like I said, I'm going to try to just keep to the animation only, because I'm going to have to dig through literally hours of content that I remember watching, and that's impossible. It's easier when you're paying attention and daily it's the only thing you're consuming. So that's how it was during campaign 2. But yeah, for the sake of this, at least I think I remember it was a little bit like that. But again, right here, what I'm showing on screen was this moment where they got the residuum placed in their arms, man. Who crazy. The amount of torture and emotional and physical trauma they went through with under Trent, man, it's just absolutely insane to me. This was a very nasty scene. Even had my girlfriend like, dang. And even the bonding between Caleb, Astrid, and Eodwulf, whole trauma bonding moment over there. I don't know, but so wild. And she had to play this part back like tons of times. Like when it got to this part towards the end that we're going to talk about right here. But just to fill in a little of the other honorable mentions that I enjoyed, I loved like Caleb right here. Like I loved Caleb and Beauregard's interrogation. Definitely a highlight. Definitely like how Aurelia was getting under their skin. It is just awesome. And how Caleb was really showing that he's not to play with. He had a lot of fire, like one-liners and stuff right there. Aurelia getting free was crazy. I like this whole thing, man. It really just showing that the Volstrucker won't break, and all of the emotional and mental training that they underwent to not succumb to interrogation is pretty crazy. But anyways, right here when they step on the rune was a pretty funny moment. Yeah, and then just Caleb's whole scene towards the end, of course, is the other highlight, and the jumping back and forth between where he finally broke her. Like, now this is a part that I do remember during the campaign, or at least with the animation is trying to emulate here, or refer to, I don't even know if I don't really want to say emulate, because emulate is to match, but look, anyways, nonetheless, it is matching what happened in the campaign where Caleb would burn somebody alive, and then I think he'd have to roll, right? Matt made Liam roll to see if Caleb, like, you know, got stuck, or was it just a thing to his character that anytime he burned somebody alive, that PTSD would just stop him in his tracks? Like, you know, it was well done here. The animators went absolutely off. The steam coming off it, like his tears immediately oh man, it's just solid. I don't even know what more to say. It's just purely peak. And then of course the episode, there was a lot of not moments right there with saying, you know, being that motherly figure for Caleb. And, you know, those of us who watch the campaign kind of understand why. And that's, yeah. And I can't wait to see more, man. My girlfriend and I both were just like, we need the next episode right now. We need it right now. And it comes out in 3 days. So I got time, or 2 days. Yeah. 8, 9. Yeah. So we're all fine. 8, 9. Anyways, I'm out of here. Much love in Moonlight. And this has been awesome. It's just so cool to watch every single episode. I wonder what little details you guys like and everything. Oh, also the Cobalt Soul, them invading the whole Cobalt Soul was pretty grim too. Just straight up murdering people. But yeah, I mean, all solid, all so clean. It's so interesting to say so clean after saying murder. Yeah, so clean. But just the way they're depicting that, like, yeah, Caleb was a straight up magical assassin along with them, or being trained to be, you know, it's just sick. Anyways, I'm out of here. Peace.